Happy Thursday. Thank you so much for joining us, everybody. We're just going to let everybody get in and get settled. We're doing the same over here. Believe it or not, we just ended up with a power outage like 20 minutes ago. So we have been scrambling to come up with plan B to make sure that we had full internet, full lighting, all the things. Do me a favor and drop in the chat where you lead your team from. We're so happy that you've all joined us today. This is being recorded, so you will be able to catch the recording, but drop in the chat
We got
where you
Florida.
are.
We got Vernon, BC.
Vernon, BC, Florida, Arizona, Atlanta, San Diego, San Francisco, Ottawa, Fraser
San
Valley.
Francisco.
Amazing. So many awesome locations. Some of you are staying.
Toronto.
What's that? Toronto. Yeah,
Toronto.
that's right. Toronto, Ottawa. Some of you are staying quiet. That is a-okay. Just so you know, we do want this to be as interactive as you possibly want it to be. So feel free to interject at any point throughout the webinar. If you have questions, if you have thoughts, Fredericton, Los Angeles, Arizona, Halton Hills. Amazing. Awesome. Virginia. Wow. Okay. So many great locations. Well, we're so happy everybody is here today. I'm going to be really honest with you guys. I had the most insane amount of imposter syndrome coming into this webinar today because we are going to talk about the revolving door, why agents leave your team and what to do about it. And the thing that I felt that qualified Ryan and I and myself to be able to have this conversation with you is that we have such phenomenal retention at North Group. We didn't in the beginning, which I'll share about that. But we do right now. We do, and we have for a number of years, and we figured out a thing or two, and that's what we're excited to talk to you guys about today. But Monday morning, just this week, like less 4 days ago at 11 a.m., I had a reminder in my calendar to call and formally welcome a new team partner to North Group that we had taken through our full interview process. That's a whole other conversation about, interviewing and onboarding and that whole side of things. But at 11 a.m., I called her to welcome her to North Group and to tell her that we are excited to officially go into business with her and to talk about next steps. And then at 11:15, my phone rang. And one of our team partners that we have been in business with for 4 years called to tell me that he was moving on and that he was leaving North Group. And so if there was ever a moment of doubt that maybe I'm not qualified to have this conversation with you, it was Monday at 11:15 a.m. But despite, and I'll share a little bit about how that conversation went, but despite all of it, we have learned a thing or two and have built some phenomenal retention at North Group and have more often than not stopped the revolving door. So welcome to the revolving door, why agents are leaving your team and what to do about it. This is part 3 of our team leader webinar series that Ryan and I run with United. We actually run United, which is a brand agnostic real estate community. We run live and virtual events for agents and for team leaders all across North America. Ryan and myself, we're both here today, as well as our business partners, Raquel and Joe. And so thank you guys so much for being here. I just want to give you a little bit of a background about me. So most of you probably know who I am, but if you don't, I am the founder of United Community. I'm also the founder of our real estate team, North Group, brokered by Real. I'm a team leader, guys. I'm a team leader in the trenches, in the arena with you. Nothing that I share today, nothing that Ryan and I talk about today is theory. This is all happening in real time, real life. We're in it with you. But the greatest claim to fame that I have is that I am an auntie 9 times over, and I am a bonus mom times 3 times over. Yesterday, we had 2 graduations in our family. We had 2 grade 12 graduations. We had both my nephew and my stepson graduated yesterday. And I was like, oh my gosh, how are they both on the exact same day? And I was so nervous I was going to have to pick which one I was going to go to, but they ended up being one at 11 a.m. and one at 6 p.m. And so it was a really special day in our family yesterday. I am of the opinion, very, very strong opinion, but I am of the opinion that the real estate industry needs way fewer team leaders, not more. I got into this business and started building a real estate team on the conference circuit. And when you're in the conference circuit, like back in the day, the industry preaches that the next evolution of being a top producer is to gain leverage and to build a real estate team. Because as a top producer, you get busy and then you just need more agents to help you manage your time and for leverage. And I couldn't disagree with that concept more. The industry needs fewer team leaders, but it needs more agents that truly want to lead and mentor and coach and train other agents to become business owners and leaders themselves. And too many of us, too many top producers, too many agents have become team leaders just for leverage and not for leadership. I don't know if you want to tag on to that at all, Ryan, but I know that we're on the same page when it comes to that for sure.
Yeah, I think, you're totally correct. Like culture, um, the big thing that you have to think about to stop the revolving door is building for the agents that you want to work with versus just building for yourself. And I think that's like the biggest mistake a lot of us make that cause the revolving door is we
Hmm.
build the team for ourselves versus, all of the things that you're talking about here that you've done such a great job at North Group with of building for the agents themselves. And it's not just one thing, right? It's many
Yeah.
things that agents come for. And it's getting very clear on how you're going to build it for the agents that will retain them long term versus what a lot of us do is we just get overwhelmed. We get too busy as busy agents. And so we say, okay, it's time to build a team. And we build that team for ourselves
Yeah.
to take responsibility or pressure off of us or give us leverage. But then the roles we create for the agents isn't what's going to keep them long term. And I think a lot of what you're going to talk about today can fix that for a lot of us team leaders because it tends to be the natural evolution of building a team.
Yeah, absolutely. And so what Ryan just shared with you is that we built North Group to be the team that I looked for this team. Like I wanted, when I got into real estate, I wanted to join a team, but I couldn't find the one that I wanted to be a part of that had these three different buckets. And so we built it. And then here we are 9 years later. So we launched in 2017. We've done over 1.6 billion in sales, which equated to over 3,000 transactions and over 500 Google 5-star reviews, which is really, really cool. So, but here's the thing, you guys, from the outside, it looked like we were thriving. It looked like, I mean, we were winning awards, we were ranking, we were getting on all the stages. The conference circuit was eating up what North Group was all about. And so we had just had this crazy momentum and all this growth was happening. But on the inside, we were growing way too fast. Our foundation wasn't strong enough. Our processes weren't clear enough. They were shaky. Our expectations weren't clear enough. And at the most difficult part of all of it is that I was the hub of it all. I was at the center of all of it. And our door started revolving. I genuinely at first couldn't figure out why. We looked like we had it all together. As I said, we had the awards and we had the stats, and I felt like my superpower, which I do still believe that it is till to this day, is that I genuinely care so much about our people and about their dreams and their goals and their success. I was like, that's got to be enough that people will want to stay because I'm just like, I care so, so, so deeply. Why would they ever want to leave? But slowly it started happening. The door started revolving. And every time that I did, I told myself they just weren't the right fit. And I justified it with that line. But the issue with that statement is that that line alone takes the ownership off of me as a leader, off of us as leaders, and it puts it back on the agent. And at the end of the day, That's not why agents leave. So why does our team, I asked myself, why does our team have a revolving door when I built it to be the exact opposite? And it took me a long time to actually ask myself that question, because a lot of the revolving door was masked in me saying like, oh, it's the agent's not a fit. And I was like, oh, we're riding this wave of like of our growth trajectory. But I built it to be the opposite of that. So what was happening? I didn't build this brand with my name attached to it. So I was like, okay, agents will want to be a part of that longer. We weren't sharing leads. We were teaching agents how to fish. And we were doing so well. So I was like, what is actually going on right now? And here's what I learned. I learned over time that a revolving door is not a recruiting problem. It is a leadership problem. And the craziest thing is that at the time, I actually really considered myself to be a good leader. I actually got into real estate and started a team long before technically I did do well out of the gate and built a very strong business, but I started a team probably sooner than what the average would say to do in the industry. But it's because I was so passionate about leadership. I loved helping others grow, and I come from leadership, and so that's what I knew. And so I was like, I wanted to be a team leader. And I felt like I was a decent one. But the door started swinging, and I was like, what is this going on right now? Now, don't get me wrong. There are times when an agent is not going to be a culture fit. It's true. And so I could say like, oh, these agents they're just not a culture fit. And that's actually going to be true at times. But even if they aren't, it's still a leadership issue. It's still on me that I didn't set clear enough expectations. Expectations weren't clear during the onboarding process. Something got missed in the interview process. I skipped a step somewhere, or I wasn't really clear on what is the ideal avatar and the ideal cultural fit of our team. And so, even though they might not be a culture fit, I'm not blaming it on them still. I'm still putting the onus and the responsibility and bringing ownership back to myself as a leader. And so all of those responsibilities, even if they are part of looking at like at somebody not being a right fit on your team, it's still our responsibilities as leaders. And what I've learned now after 9 years is that that agents they leave us when they run out of future with us. They leave us when they run out of future with us. And that happened to me this week. Like it literally happened to me 4 days ago. And I have been in, with this webinar happening today, I've been in such a state of reflection as a leader and I mean, I'll talk about it in a little bit, but like I had such a positive, exit meeting with our team partner who is moving on. And, but but it still falls back to me. I'm still evaluating what could I have done differently? Where could I have helped this agent see future and opportunity in staying in business with us at North Group? And one of the things I've started to realize is that we try to fix attrition then. So when somebody leaves, we're like, okay, now I just need to recruit more. But it never actually works because the leadership problem is the problem underneath it all. So you could still bring more agents on, but if you don't actually fix the leadership issues or what's causing the issues and take responsibility and ownership for them as a leader, it's still the revolving door will still continue. I really believe that this topic is timely and matters now more than ever before. I'm sure you have noticed that the industry is on the move. I mean, like Ryan, we've talked about this so much, right? The mergers and the acquisitions that are happening at the corporate level. I feel like there's like a new announcement every couple of weeks about something going on at the corporate level. There is a massive amount of consolidation happening of mega teams across our industry, both in Canada and the US. And agents, because the market's been tough, they're shopping for the best comp model, the best leverage that they can possibly find. And right now, I'm sure you would agree, Ryan, like leadership matters more than ever
Yeah,
before.
yeah, and I think that leaders are recognizing they need to deliver more value to the agents in order to grow and in order to keep agents on long term. And that's why we're seeing a lot of this consolidation with mega teams, because a lot of team leaders are being very honest with themselves that they don't have the skill sets or the ability to offer everything on their own. And that's why you're seeing
Yeah.
consolidation of teams, because they're saying, like, hey, my team offers this piece of the puzzle, but that piece of the puzzle is no longer keeping agents around. They also want two to three other pieces of the puzzle. How can I start offering that to agents? And then they're
Yeah.
finding partnerships with other team leaders who maybe have that skill set fit that they're missing. And I think that's why we're seeing a lot of that, is so that team leaders feel they can bring more value to the agent marketplace and have agents want to be with them long term.
Yeah, absolutely. So building today more than ever, with everything that's going on, today more than ever, building a model that agents want to stay and grow in, and having the leadership that they want to be a part of and see a future with is crucial. And that's what we're building at North Group. And so this is zero bragging rights. What I want to show you right now, this is not bragging rights. This is to show you what's possible. I want you to see what's possible when you as a team leader take ownership to stop the revolving door, and that where everything, the buck stops with you at every turn. And so this is what our retention looks like when the industry average is 18 months on a team. That's the industry average. Agents are staying on teams. And so our leadership evolution, combined with the model that we've built at North Group and are continuing to improve and grow, it's why agents are staying with us long term, and it's something that we're really, really proud of. And I will actually point out, it's not a mistake. I just noticed it right now, but I forgot to mention is that there are three people's names that are bolded on this screen. Josh has been with us 6 years, Carmen 4, and Nicole 4. These are all team partners of North Group that, for whatever reason, they chose to leave the team for a set period of time and opted to come back. And so I want to really, really encourage you, like in those exit interviews, always keep that door open. Always, always, always like take ownership, come with humility, go into those conversations willing to learn and to improve, and keep that door open, because look where we are. We're 9 years into our team. That's actually not that long. 9 years in, and we already have three partners that have been with us this length of time that have left and come back, which is something really cool.
I think people returning is like also is, says so many good things about what you are offering as a team leader. Because, we've all been agents ourselves, and, the next brokerage or the next team is always promising more and, painting a picture of how they're going to make you more
Yeah.
successful and support you more and take your career to the next level. And when people leave and then, want to come back, and I would say this, Amy, I would say, like, you have three that have come back, but there's been even more people that have tried to come back or
Yeah,
wanted to come back that we've decided aren't, like, weren't a fit and didn't
you're
want them
right.
back. So, like, I think if you start as your team, uh, over time, if you continue to see people want to come back to the team, whether you bring them back or not, that will speak to you doing a lot of the right things, right? And that's just part of the revolving door, is sometimes someone else is going to promise the world to them, to agents, and they're going to think it's, the grass is greener, and they quickly
Yeah.
realize it's not.
Yeah. The grass is greenest where you water it. Is that not like the case for like everything in life, business and professional?
Yeah.
Um, okay, guys, we're a few minutes in. Drop a one in the chat if you're getting anything out of this at all, any value, any ideas, any ahas. Just give me a one, just so I know you're here. I know that we're on the right track, and that there's something good coming from this for you. Okay, awesome. I love it. Amazing, amazing. Okay, so All right, let's get into it. If you think recruiting is expensive when you think about like the time and the ads and having to show up online and like all the interview process, like if you think that's expensive, attrition is way more expensive. Have you ever calculated the cost, what is actually costing you when somebody leaves your team if you're looking at things like time and staff and resources? So we're going to look at that. So the first thing we're going to look at is what you spent. Everything that you poured into before you even made a dollar, uh, recruiting, interviews, welcome gifts, onboarding, training, mentorship, your CRM, Slack, or whatever communication tool you use, signage, business cards. I mean, I could go on, plus your time and your staff's time that nobody's counting those costs because it just doesn't show up exactly like that on the P&L. It is expensive. And so what the time that you are spending, if you get them through that whole process and then get them into production, you should know, like, look at what that's costing you. It is expensive. And one of the things that we implemented right out of the gate is that we now charge a startup fee. So you cannot even get into our systems. You cannot join us on our team at our brokerage, get into our CRM, get into our Slack channel, come to a team event or anything like that. I shouldn't say that about the team event. You can actually come to a team event. That's part of our interview process. So we want to get you connected and seeing how you interact with our people and things like that. We charge a startup fee now. And so it comes with our signed contract. It's $795. We have been doing this now. I want you to know I am not throwing this idea at you because I started it 2 months ago and I'm like, oh, we've done it once and it's working. Have been doing this for 3 years. For 3 years, we charge a $795 startup fee, and it has helped to mitigate some of those costs. Now, this is not a webinar on onboarding and getting agents into production and launch weeks and first 100 days and all those things. This is not what this is about, but I could talk about that for a whole other hour. But what you spend, there is money that goes into that first 100 days, that first launch week, and it costs. And so we've managed that. And because we have a launch week where anybody who joins our team goes into like a probationary period for the first week, then they go into a probationary period for the balance of the 90 days. So for that first around 100 days, this helps manage some of those costs. And if for whatever reason it doesn't work out within that time period, at least we're not out of pocket some of those initial expenses. And so when you are thinking about attrition and retention, think about what it costs out of the gate. The next thing is what we don't consider when we think about attrition and our revolving door is what just walked out the door. What production is gone. Let me just grab this. Sorry, give me 2 seconds. Yeah, what just walked out the door? What clients are no longer yours? What pipeline is not going to be there anymore? What future opportunities have you lost that you just spent all this time training, coaching, mentoring, and all those things? And then the thing that we don't actually really factor in is the brand presence and the recognition of like those signs on lawns and the listings that are going in somebody else's name. And so there is a lot that goes into making sure that when you are looking at attrition, it's like, okay, it's not just, all right, this person is gone, but what walked out the door with them. And so we're going to look at number 3 then, what it costs to rebuild. And so this is actually a really difficult one for me to talk about, actually. The cost of rebuilding is quite expensive. And so because you rarely replace a producer with a producer. So if a producer walks out the door and on your team, very rarely will you have that exact quality of agent come back when you onboard and hire the next agent. It's difficult to do. In 2022, I had the hardest year of being a team leader. And I've had a couple of them. There's been a few difficult years for sure. Being a team leader is definitely not for the faint of heart. We had 100 million in sales volume walk out the door within 6 months. 100 million in sales volume walk out the door in 6 months. I'm going to talk about a little bit more about it in a couple of minutes, but it took well over a year to get back to the same to attract and to recruit that same level of sales volume that was gone. And so we dipped for like over a year because we lost those three producers, and it was really painful. And I'm going to talk about that in a couple of minutes. And then the fourth thing is, which is this one I have learned the hard way over and over again, is like who follows them out the door. When you're looking at attrition, you can't just think about just like the costs. It's also like who's leaving after them. It's not what you do in the moment, though, that when somebody leaves that protects you. It's the strength of what you've built long before that actually matters. And so when somebody leaves, you have to factor in the culture tax. You have to factor in sort of, the domino effect. And we don't always consider that. If a respected agent leaves, a producer leaves, people notice, they start talking, and then one quiet exit can become, another, and then another potentially. When somebody used to leave our team up until a few years ago, this is not the case anymore because we just had this happen this week, and I can say firsthand, that's actually the first time in so many years. Now, I should have mentioned that when I found out on Monday that our team partner of 4 years, like literally has been here just 1 month shy of 4 years, when that he told me he was leaving. It's the first time in years I went back through all of our records that somebody has left that we haven't helped exit out of the team because they weren't in the right place or the right fit or making or hitting our benchmarks, which, as I said at the beginning, those are still all my responsibility, but it's the first time that has happened in a really long time. When someone would leave our team a few years ago, I would go into like insane damage control. You would see me like, I would be like coffees with this person and calling this person and slacking this person and planning a team event really quickly. And I just would like go into this hyper, like, how do I support everybody and how do I make everybody feel so loved? Because I was so afraid of like who's next. I was so afraid of it. But what I learned is that it's not what you do in that moment. Like it's not what happened on Monday and what I do on Monday that protects us from like the next person leaving. It's the strength of what we've built now over time that protects the entire culture, the entire community. And that's what protects retention. So I'm just going to bring up this. We started talking about this a little bit, but at the end of the day, why do agents leave? So they say they're leaving for things like splits. They say that they're going to leave. They're looking for, better services. They say they're going to leave because they want to do it on their own. They want to try being a solo agent. But at the end of the day, those are just reasons. Those are the masks. Those are the things that is covering up the fact that they couldn't see their future anymore. And that's on us as leaders. They couldn't see that a bigger vision, a bigger opportunity to stay in business with us. And so, as I mentioned to you in 2022, I had one of the hardest years of my career. We had two senior partners and a team partner that all left the team. And I said it was about 100 million in sales volume. And so I want to share these things with you, like open and unplugged, because I want you to be able to see your team, your agents. I want you to be able to look at your leadership. You take my mistakes, take our mistakes and use them so that these things don't happen to you. But in 2022, one of our senior partners left first, and it was and to this day I have a great relationship with her, but she was very candid with me that my vision at the time lacked clarity and she couldn't see where the team was going, so she didn't see how she was herself going to fit into it. And we parted ways and closed that door on our business relationship, which was a 4.5 year business relationship. So we were in business together for a long time, in such a positive way that we actually ended up talking about it at a mastermind just a few months ago that Ryan and I were running. And she was very open about the fact that she felt like that the vision of the team and the direction of the team wasn't being strongly, delivered and articulately communicated, and she didn't see where she was fitting into that. And so that is something I really took to heart, and I value that feedback. And our second senior partner that left, my leadership at the time lacked strength and vision for her as well. And I will say all of this with a caveat. I was coming off the hardest year of my entire life when all of this happened. And I know that I how do I say this? I know that they were right, but I also know that at the time, and I could have been a better leader. I could have been a stronger visionary. I could have absolutely painted a more powerful vision and direction of where we were going. But I was also coming off the hardest year of my life personally, in the fact that I'd gone through severe loss. I'd lost both my sister and my dad within a few months of each other. And at the time, I know that I was doing the best that I could. And so sometimes leadership means that when I look back now, there's so much growth and so much opportunity for change, but it's so that I can be that person for the future. Because at the time, in those moments, I was the best leader that I could possibly be. And I know, because I was pouring myself into both my family and our team and doing the very best that I could to show up despite the challenges and the hard time that we were going through as a family. And so thank you. I appreciate that. And then the second, but I will say this about our second senior partner. Um, a huge leadership lesson that I learned in being in business with some of our agents is that you as a leader have to discuss problems or issues or weaknesses that you're going through or that you're dealing with on the team. You have to discuss them up. You do not discuss them down. And by down, I don't mean like that you're higher and an agent is lower, or you're better and they're not, or they're not as good or as smart as you. That's not even remotely what I'm saying. But it is our job as leaders to always show up on our A game. And then when we're discussing team problems or issues or weaknesses and things like that, they need to be discussed with a coach or a mentor or a business partner, not with your team or with your team partners. And so your team needs to see strength. They need you, but you need somewhere to lean, and it's not on them. And if you are a team leader that at some point in your career, like you have been the team leader that talks about your problems with your team or talks about issues with the team with your team, I want to really encourage you that to use it today forward, that comes to an end. Because anytime I look back, I can see like, oh, that was probably a moment of weakness where I shouldn't have, and that those things compound over time and they could eventually lead to the revolving door. And then the third was like we had a team partner that was with us. They did say that they were leaving because of splits, and that was something that I was prepared. I was not prepared to negotiate at the time. But I do believe that if I had been more focused on not just building North Group and my brand and focusing on helping him build his, then he would probably potentially still be here. And that's something we've really changed in our team, is that we're not just focused on like what is the brand of the collective about, but what are you building your personal brand, your business, and to build something so powerful as a team partner at North Group that nothing could ever take it away. And so that's something we've really pivoted with. Ryan, do you want to jump on that at all, or am I good? We're good.
No, I think you did a really good job there.
Okay. I'm like, am I forgetting anything? All right, so let's shift. Over time, I stopped asking myself, how do I stop agents from leaving, to how do we build a platform and an environment where they see their future? So that's the shift question. That's the thing that we need to be asking ourselves. This is the one that you screenshot, guys. Like, how do I build an environment where they see their future and their growth within our organization? And so I want us to pause for just a couple of minutes. And so I want to ask you three questions, three leadership questions. And I'm hoping if you're driving that you could stop and maybe go on your phone. If you're on your laptop, you can pull up your notes or a notebook. I just want you to answer these three questions honestly, and we're just going to sit in them for like 2 minutes. I promise you this won't be like some long drawn out session, but three leadership questions I want us to ask ourselves. If I pulled any of our top agent or agents into a room and I asked them where they see themselves in the next 2 to 3 years, would they describe a future that includes you? Would they describe a future that includes your team? And I want you to ask yourself that. And if you want to think about these things afterwards, you're welcome to just screenshot the question and sit with it after, but we're just going to take a second. If I pulled our top agent into a room and I asked them where they'll be in 2 to 3 years, would they describe a future that includes me, includes your team? And the second question is, when did someone on our team last grow into something bigger? And did it happen because I helped them build that path? Think about your team, whether you have one agent or maybe you have 20 agents or more. When was the last time that you saw one of your agents or your team partners? We call our agents team partners. When was the last time one of your team partners grew into something more, something bigger, personally or professionally? Maybe they got on a stage. Maybe they developed a new habit that's been a game changer. Maybe they lost a bunch of weight because they were so inspired by the training and the motivation, the consistency that's being transmitted through your team. When is the last time that someone on your team grew into something bigger, and did it happen because you helped them towards that path? And lastly, if you disappeared for 90 days, would your team get stronger, stay the same, or fall apart? This is a big one. And I can honestly say with like full confidence that I can do it. I'm at the point where I can do it. I can disappear and nothing's falling apart. In fact, I was just on vacation a week ago and I'm like, these guys are better without me. That's how I felt. It's like deals popping off, people helping each other, which we'll talk about that in a second. We just got about 20 more minutes, guys. And this is like Amy Youngren unplugged, but you work for your people. You work for your agents. I remember once having an interview with a team leader, and she was like, "I just don't even want to be a team leader anymore." These guys, she's like, I can't work for these guys anymore." And I'm like, "You should not be a team leader. Like, we work for our agents. We are in service of our people, and they do not work for us." And so I am a huge proponent of the whole like, please stop saying my team, my this. It's our team. We, us. We're bigger and better together. So, anyways, these are just my little Amyisms. Love your unplugged. Thank you, Cynthia. All right. Most team leaders think that the falling apart, like, so if you answered that you think that your team might fall apart in those 90 days and you're like, okay, good, they need me, then that's good. Like, it's actually like the worst thing that you could possibly have. And I was that person. I used to think it was so flattering that nothing could function without me. Nobody could ask a question that I didn't have the answer to. No deal could get done that I wasn't involved with. No listing could go live without me reviewing all the marketing and all the process. And I was so guilty of having to get rid of my need for being needed. But you have to. And if the team falls apart without you, you didn't build a team. You built a dependency, and dependency is the thing that agents will end up leaving. So, how do we fix that? This is what we're going to do. So, Number one, stop being the hub. I thought that being the answer to everything was leadership. I really did. I was like, every problem rooted through me, question came to me, and I had the answer. And then I realized that I was the actual bottleneck. I masked it with, I'm always there for everybody. I care so much. But I built an entire model with me at the center of it all. And it is not sustainable, it is not scalable, and it is wildly fragile. Um, I had to stop being the center of everything. And one of the things that we did tactically that was so hard for me was that we developed, so our entire team communication centers around Slack. Like, I don't know what I would actually do without it. And so we developed, we have like an all team channel, which is like a lot of like reminders and celebrations and things like that. And we implemented a questions channel. And it's the spot where if you just have a question about something that you can't find in our North Group hub, which we use Google, like our Google Sites, we have a hub that we've built that's only accessible to our team. If you can't find the answer in the hub, or you have a question, you can't get the answer from our broker of record, or in our brokerage, we have a really powerful AI that you can ask questions to. If you can't find it there, then go to our questions chat. So you go to our questions chat, and when we first developed it a few years ago, I answered all the questions. I was like, okay, I need everybody to know that I like, even though all the questions are going in there, I'm still available to everybody. I can answer their questions. And oh my goodness, it was like I felt like I was weaning myself off of an addiction because I felt I had this insane need to be needed, and it was so hard. But the stronger the realization came that I needed to stop being the hub and to connect our people to each other, the better our culture became. And so stop being the hub, connect your agents to one another, not to you. You do not need to be the center of it all. You can implement things like what we've done with like agent accountability, pods and small groups, get your team crowdsourcing answers. Like that questions chat is the greatest thing on the planet because they're helping each other constantly. They're answering each other constantly. Implement a leadership team that has defined roles. So once agents hit certain benchmarks and different levels and leadership and things like that, they actually have a defined role in leadership on your team. Build a culture of inter-team support and collaboration. All of these things that I'm talking about, they take work, they take effort, and they take time. And most of all, you have to be intentional with all of them. Get your top producers training other agents on the team. Like, you don't have to be the one always talking. Like, our team's probably was sick of listening to Ryan and I for a long time. They're like, we don't want to hear from those two anymore. And a lot of our agents are so good. Ryan and I both still sell real estate. Like I said, we are in the trenches, we are in the arena with you guys. But a lot of our agents some of them are even outperforming us, which is amazing. And they're in the deals. And so they have great advice, great suggestions. Get your agents helping each other. And one of the things that has been so valuable about like getting that connectivity going is that when somebody asks a question, and I did this at the beginning when I was going through my weaning off process, but it was like all part of the process is when somebody asks a question about something and you think one of your other teammates or your team members could answer it better, tag them and ask them, give us, oh, I remember Cody, blah, blah, blah. He probably has an answer for that. Or Sophie, I remember she had a situation. And so you're getting everybody talking to each other and helping one another. Social events that outlast you, like my favorite thing in the entire world is like, I hear about what our agents do for each other behind the scenes now, and it is like the greatest thing on the planet. We just had every year we have a kickoff summer potluck, and we just had it the other day, and I leave at some point after a few hours, and they all stay and like hang out for hours and hours after me, and like it's just the best, it's the greatest when I get messages in Slack or text messages later, like hours later, and they're all like still hanging out, and you see the pictures get dropped into the chat and stuff. It is truly the greatest feeling, but it has to be cultivated. And it takes time. You have to give yourself time to be able to cultivate these things.
I think a big thing around that piece is the agents also want it, right? It's going to lead to retention because the agents feel like they're growing within their roles on the team. And like as you give them the opportunity to contribute more or to be self-led or to lead other and mentor other new agents, like that, as your more senior agents grow in a role, that those are the types of responsibilities that A, give you leverage and give you time back, and B, will help retain those
Yeah.
agents because they feel more a part of the team and they see growth for themselves within the team,
Mhm.
and are being more fulfilled, right? Because those agents, as they build a bigger knowledge base, as they learn more, as they do more deals, they want to share. And some of them will think at times they want to be a team leader themselves. So if you give them the opportunity to lead in certain ways, it will definitely retain those agents longer. And often what it will do is make a lot of them realize they don't want to be a team leader, right? And
Yeah.
that like they like doing it a little bit with the opportunity that you give
Yeah.
them, but they couldn't see a place where they're doing that full time. And they realize, no, I still want to do my deals. I'm really happy here, and I get the opportunity to lead when it's convenient for me or when I want to.
Yeah. And I think like kind of back to some of the stuff that we talked about at the beginning though, like we as leaders, we want things to center around us. We want to be needed. And that's a little bit of like that's ego. It's not even a little bit. Like let's just call it
100%.
spade a spade. It's ego. But the greatest thing that you can possibly do is build a team that doesn't need you. And that is the whole point in all of this, that although you are the leader, you are the visionary, you are the the culture keeper. If they don't need you in order to like to keep that culture and to be connected to one another, it is the ultimate gift.
Hmm.
The second part, you guys, is to build a future that they can see. And so you have to be really tactical with this. You have to be intentional. um Help them with a clear path, like show a clear path. This is in our contract. This is talked about in our team meetings. We're very, very clear at North Group about where you can go and what opportunities there are. And so show them a clear path. At North Group, it's a clear path from team partnership to senior partnership, what that looks like from a financial perspective and a tenure perspective, and or how to be a part of our leadership team and what those expectations look like. There's other, you can build a future with them through other ways of compensation. We have agents on our team that are compensated for mentorship, they're compensated for marketing. I would venture to guess that as you grow, you will have agents that are great at things that you don't need to go hire like some random person for or staff person. You could hire right within your own organization if you wanted to. The other thing that's so important too is like when in building future that they can see is make your top 20% feel seen. Those are the ones that will leave from strength. They're already doing great. They're already making money. They're in a like a producer's position on your team, and they need to feel seen. They're the ones that should be training. They're the ones that you need to get on the stages. When you get invitation, I have done this so many times. I've gotten invitations to speak. I did it 2 weeks ago, and one of our agents did it for me. I was like, no, you want to know who will be even better for that would be this agent because she has done XYZ. And you're opening up doors to make sure that your top 20% feel seen. They see a path of growth. They see a future in being in business with you. And then lastly, in this on this point, is they need to also see what's possible through your growth. Like not just a future of themselves within your organization, but the future that you're building for yourself, the doors that you're opening, the growth that you're experiencing, that you're the one in the trenches too with them. They know that you're making calls. They know that you're getting on camera when you preach about. You're not talking about AI and not doing it yourself. You're not preaching build a personal brand and not doing it yourself. You're in the trenches and they see. And that doesn't necessarily mean like, because lots of leaders move out of production and that's okay. But they can still see you leading and growing. And so they can see a future in an organization where my team leader is also striving for growth, also striving for a bigger opportunities in a future. So Ryan, I want you to touch on this because you're so good at it. Here's the thing, guys. We did an entire session on this topic, and so we're only going to touch on this for like 3 minutes, probably at the
Yeah.
longest, in the interest of time. But clarity on the model that you're going to build is essential to retention. And there are two models that have one positive sales outcome, but we just want to touch on this again as a reminder of how important it is to know the type of team that you're building and why.
Yeah, the biggest thing is to know the type of agent that you want to work with, right?
Mhm.
Like, do you want to work with, agents that are going to need a lot of mentorship, a lot of training, but they're going to hustle, they're going to grind, that traditional sales culture of everybody coming into the office, role playing, making calls together, holding each other accountable? Or do you want a culture that's more built around community and other services that help them, grow their business or operate and run their business? And I think the big piece is they are two different things. And if you try to do everything, it's really, really difficult because you only have so much time, you only have so many resources, and you have a skill set. And you need to understand, like, how does your skill set align with the agents that you want to work with? And you need to build for the agents that you are going to enjoy working with, right? You really need to think about who you enjoy working with, not who you think you should work with because it's going to make you the most money.
Yeah.
Because if you pick one because you think it's going to make you the most money, but you don't enjoy working with those agents and then can't deliver on a value proposition that's going to A, attract those agents, and B, retain those agents, then you're not making any money anyways. And you're also probably not enjoying it because you're working with agents that you don't like or don't enjoy working with. I shouldn't say
Yeah.
don't like.
For sure, for sure. All right. And then last but not least, when the door revolves. I mean, here's the thing, like, let's call a spade a spade. Sometimes agents still leave. No matter what, like you keep growing. We're 9 years into this. I feel like we've worked out a lot of bugs. I've really grown as a leader. There's still so much growth ahead of me, and agents still leave. But by that point, you're managing their exit, you're not trying to prevent it. So my advice for you is don't talk people into staying who are already on the way out the door. It only buys you short-term results. I've done it before. I've talked people into staying, and almost every time if I've renegotiated our contract or something like that, it's just bought a short-term relationship or short-term, a little bit more time. How you walk people out of your team says more about your leadership than their entire tenure on the team. I just want to say that again because if you heard nothing else today, I really want to encourage you to hear that. How you walk someone out of your team says more about your leadership than their entire time on your team. You want to keep that door open for the right agent avatar because, as we showed you, some of them will come back. And so, how you walk them out the door, it really, really matters. Take that time, go into that exit conversation with humility. Ask, if there's anything that the team could have done differently, or how you could have improved your services or your value, your leadership, any of those things. Ask them with humility, walk them through that process. And then our exit process actually includes like keeping the door open, especially for the right agent avatar, sending them a personal handwritten card telling them how much you appreciated being in business with them, what you learned in that time frame, and keeping that door open. It is such an important thing. How you walk someone out says more about your leadership than their entire time on your team. So two things I just really want to give you guys before you go. One, I'd love to offer you our North Group offboarding SOP. So like that entire offboarding process, send me a DM and I'm happy to send that over to you. My Instagram handle is on the screen. And then lastly, Ryan, we have the Ultimate Team Leader Mastermind coming up in September. This one, for those of you that have been to our mastermind in Toronto, this one is actually going to be in Washington, D.C. And I want to offer you guys a $50 off promo code. So there's a promo code on the screen. You can visit our team website at theutlm.com. We'll drop it into the chat. Go ahead. Sorry. Oh, sorry. I thought you said something, Ryan.
Nope, I didn't say anything.
Okay,
That wasn't
sorry.
me.
Yeah, yeah, drop it into the chat, and we'll make sure that we've got that. If you guys would love to come, we want to give you $50 off. It is going to be a very impactful 2 days. Our team leader masterminds, our intimate rooms. Do not think conference, do not think like, tons and tons of people. It is 50 to 75 people. It is super intimate, super exclusive, and it is with only leaders and operators. And getting in those rooms, we have had 4 sold out events. Getting in those rooms is an absolute game changer. And we're going to dive deep on topics like this. We've only just scratched the surface on things like onboarding, offboarding, attrition, retention. We're going to be talking about AI. We're going to be talking about systems and processes. We're going to be talking about leadership, production, profit. These are things that we as team leaders need to be discussing, and we need to do it in closed doors, opportunities, in rooms where we can just be really candid and open and vocal with one another. All right. Well, that concludes today's webinar, guys. I just want to remind you that agents leave when they outgrow their future with you. Everything rises and falls on us as the team leader. We do hope that today was valuable for you. We've dropped the link to the replay. Please reach out to Ryan or myself anytime. And we would love to have you join us for our next United Team Leader webinar series. It will be in July. We do one every month, and we'd love to have you guys back. Thank you for being here today.